What up, YouTube Live? How's it going, everybody? Oh, it is Friday, October 19th. Just spent the past 13 hours watching Daredevil Season 3. I know. Some of you might say, Rama, per one episode or per episode is not exactly 60 minutes long, so you can't really say 13 hours straight. So more than likely, it's about maybe 10 or 11 hours and something minutes. Fine, fair enough. If you want to get accurate about it, I know that some of you pointed that out when I mentioned in my Iron Fist season 2 review that I just got done watching 10 hours of Iron Fist, and they're like, "No, Rama, not exactly 10 hours." All right. You want to be, pretty specific about it? That's fine. That's totally fine. Um, this review though comes out at a pretty. What is that sound? I just heard a buzzing sound. Maybe it's from my computer. Okay, never mind. It's probably a neighbor's car. So I just got done watching season 3 Daredevil, and I want to do this review live stream, one take straight up. No jump takes, no edits. But this review comes at a pretty, I guess you could say, sad, heartbreaking evening because a few minutes ago or moments ago, it was announced that Netflix has decided to not renew Luke Cage for a third season. So they've canceled Luke Cage. Luke Cage, I know I will talk more about this on the Rama Screen Weekly show, Rocking It with Rama Screen, this Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you go watch it live right here at youtube.com/Rama Screen 1. I'll talk more about it. But just want to say that Luke Cage may not have been my favorite of all the Netflix Marvel shows, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I saw those two seasons that they had, and yes, some of the writing could have been better. Some of the villains could have been better, but there's always room for improvement. But I don't think the show itself deserves axing or deserves getting axed. But I'll reserve more of my thoughts about Luke Cage getting canceled for this Sunday at the on Rama Screen Weekly show. So make sure you tune in. So yeah, Daredevil season 3 arrived today. Now this is gonna be probably one of my longest reviews ever. So just a heads up here, if you want to tune in, you're gonna be tuning in with me for a while this evening. So it's like we're having a conversation sort of thing. All right. So by the way, this video contains spoilers. This review contains spoilers. So spoiler alert. Okay, before I break down what I think of the season by episodes, let me just give you my overall thought, and then I'll break it down, per episode, and then I'll give you my conclusion, my other overall thought. But after watching 13 episodes of Daredevil season 3, this is probably the best Daredevil season yet. I like this one. This is like, because it's the return of Fisk, the return of Kingpin, and he is a fantastic villain. And Vincent D'Onofrio is superb in this role. This is one of those cases where they picked the right actor. You could not have cast a more perfect actor than Vincent D'Onofrio, and he just went like home run with it, man. And now he's back, right? Because he was in season 1. He's partly in season 2, helping or maybe like trying to intimidate Punisher Frank Castle when he was in jail. But now he's back. So Daredevil season 3 is like Daredevil with a vengeance. I'm using Die Hard 3 title, Die Hard with a Vengeance. This is Daredevil with a vengeance. um, Man, the way the writers built the story and make it so that you would lose faith in the system, in the criminal justice system, because Wilson Fisk has bought off possibly every single federal agent you could think of. It's so what's the word I'm looking for here? It's it's so meticulous. That's the one. There you go. Meticulous is the right word for it. It's so detailed. Like you don't know who to trust in this show. Really, anybody can turn their backs on you. Can turn on you and stab you and snitch on you because Wilson Fisk either has bought them off or he has leverage on them. Sometimes he would because his style, Wilson Fisk style is the way I would say about dictatorship, mafia, mobster, and a bit of cartel. Um, because I'd say probably mobster has a code, but when it comes to cartel's way of intimidating people and going after people, they go after their family members too, man. They're just like so merciless. That's what that Wilson Fisk reminded me of those tactics. So he's a combination of authoritarian leadership with intimidation and fear, and of course mobster mixed with cartel style. And man, he owns just about everybody in town in Hell's Kitchen. Um, and it's interesting because this is the season where we don't see Matt Murdock donning the Daredevil suit. Not even once. The only person donning or rocking the Daredevil suit is actually Bullseye. In this case, is Poindexter, Agent Poindexter. And by the way, real quick, I really like the origin story of Bullseye that they have here. It's like it's like how they changed the origin story of the Punisher in the Punisher season one. Frank Castle's origin in order to fit the times of today. Make it about. They made it about PTSD and coming home from war. All that good stuff, as opposed to the origin story of Frank Castle in the comic books. That's what they went with also for Bullseye, and I liked it. It fit well. He's this mentally deranged guy who happens to be highly skilled at ricocheting all kinds of stuff. It's fantastic. But I'll get to that more when I break down the episode of that origin story. So I'm giving you the overall thought right now. The relationship between Foggy, Karen, and Matt Murdock. Uh, I also enjoyed the evolution of their arc in this one, of their relationship. Um, in season one, they have this whole small law firm together, like, in abject poverty, they get paid with chickens and stuff. In season two, the Foggy and Karen are not as prominent as Frank Castle and Elektra, because in season two, even the posters show Daredevil, uh, Punisher, and Elektra. So not it's more about those three as opposed to Murdoch, Foggy, and Karen. Now it's back again. Just like Wilson Fisk is back, it's all back again to Karen, um, Man, I'm having a brain fart. Foggy and Murdoch. But the thing is, they start out not on the same page. Okay, halfway through this season, they finally like, okay, we got to start working together if we want to do this right, because they have a common goal, which is to bring Wilson Fisk back to prison. Um, Now, there's a character uh, in this whole season that pretty much represents this very complex human that wants to do right, but there's a bit of conflicted feeling because he wants to make his son proud, and he wants to be ambitious. And I'm talking about detective. Oh no, I'm sorry, not detective. FBI Special Agent Nadim, um, played by I gotta find the actor's name here. He's a fantastic actor. I'm so glad that they cast him. Jay Ali. There you go. I don't know much about Jay Ali's previous gigs. Okay, he was in the Fosters. Okay, interesting, but it's cool here. I Throughout this season, you'll be like, it's like a tug of war, like that rope game tug of war going on inside you, because you're like, there will be times when you root for the guy, root for Nadim. Yes, Yes, he's using fists to get all these bad guys down, to take out the other gangsters. But man, at what cost? You know, he's selling his soul for that. And there were times when Nadim compromises. That's when you hate him. I was like, Nadim, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're an FBI agent. And then at the very end, the last leg, you're like rooting back for him again because he's like so regretful. So, but you know in your heart and hearts that he's not gonna survive because it's one of those things where he has to go in a martyrdom style. So the roller coaster of this arc of the character Nadim is so um, fully formed in this season. I really like this character so much, and I think actor Jay Ali did a fantastic job uh, playing him. So those are my overall thought right now. I'll give you more of my overall thought in the conclusion. But let's get to the first couple of episodes here, Resurrection and Please. Um, it's the aftermath. If you remember at the end of The Defenders, um, Matt Murdock supposedly falls to his death with Elektra under the rubbles. So throughout the first couple of episodes, Karen is the only one that's like, no, no, I would like to believe that Matt is still alive. I want to keep paying his rent till he comes back. But Foggy's already given up. It's like Matt is dead. We gotta accept the fact. So I think it's those 12 stage of grief, right? I think there's denial, anger, whatever. At least, and then the 12th is like no 12 step. 5 stages? Is it 5 stages of grief? I think it's 5 stages of grief, not 12. I'm sorry. 12 steps is for the alcoholism. So 5 stages of grief. I think Foggy's already in the acceptance part, where Karen is still in the denial. It was entertaining just to see them clash over whether or not Matt is still alive. Matt, of course, is taken under by uh, the nuns and the priests that took care of him when he was a kid after his dad died. As you know, Matt's dad was a boxer who refused to take the fall, and the mobsters killed him. So we all knew, many of us, the fans, knew that coming into the season 3, that the nuns, or at least one of the nuns, is supposed to be Matt's mother, but of course they don't reveal that in the first couple of episodes. Um, and this first couple of episodes, it's all about Matt wrestling with the idea of Daredevil. Um, they're like wondering, okay, oh, not there. He is wondering, like, okay, maybe maybe I should shed my Matt Murdock, shed that skin, and just become this fully Daredevil guy. In the previous seasons, it was the other way around. He's like, you know what? I should probably be done with being Daredevil, and I'm gonna be full on Matt Murdock and be a lawyer. Um, so I think the way, okay, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's trying to get to, because the process of healing, right? Because he lost his hearing a little bit. He when he fights, he's not fighting fully, fully perfectly in his Daredevil mode. He's trying to get back in, not just on his feet, but also to the idea of like, okay, what is the purpose of Daredevil, and like, do I need to fully embrace it? Knowing fully that knowing the fact and the teachings that he was taught under the direction of the nun and the priest, there's that conflict wrestling inside him. Like, okay, if I go full Daredevil, now what does that mean? What does that mean if I leave Matt Murdock behind me? So those are the questions that Matt Murdock wrestles with. So it's all the first couple of seasons when it comes to Matt or Daredevil, it's all mostly philosophical. There's some fights of him, beating up just some random mugglers and whatnot, small time criminals. But it was nothing big. It was just him trying to find his path again. At the same time, Kingpin is setting in motion his plan to get out of jail, and this is perfect. Why? Because Fisk is the kind of guy who, if you play chess with Fisk, that's it. You're done in the first move because Fisk can already 30, 40 steps ahead, and the way Fisk does his things is that he makes sure he takes away certain things or certain privilege about certain characters that he wants or certain pawns that he wants on his chessboard. He takes certain he makes those pawns, he makes those characters desperate. That's how he uses them. And I think that is, I'm not praising him, but at the same time, I have to admit that that is a brilliant, brilliant strategy. Um, Very smart on his part. So, um, the next two episodes, no good deed, and blindsided. Um, Matt stole. I'll just say in present tense. Matt steals Foggy's wallet because he hears the news of Kingpin getting released and Kingpin Wilson Fisk getting put in this penthouse. Because he is cooperating with the FBI, and so Matt is trying to get to the bottom of this. Apparently, also the reason why he's moved to the penthouse is because Fisk gets shanked in the jail cell, and so that doesn't add up to Matt. It's like what is going on? Why all of a sudden Wilson Fisk wants to help the FBI to take down the Albanians gangsters? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. Like what is it that he's after? It can't be just because because his reason, Wilson Fisk's reason is like, I don't want my girlfriend Vanessa to be prosecuted. But if that is the only reason, that is too much of a simpleton reason for somebody as brilliant and as manipulative as Fisk. There's always a bigger picture to what Fisk presents you. You see where I'm getting at? So that's why Matt steals Foggy's wallet, tries to go to the prison and try to figure out. And okay, if you remember in season 1 and season 2 of Daredevil, each of those seasons had um, what seems to be a one take shot of a fight sequence. Like in season 1, it was a hallway fight scene, where it seems like it's just one take of him beating a bunch of bad guys through the hallway. Quite a lengthy one too. I forgot how long it was, but and then in season 2, the one take fight sequence was um, stairway in the stairway case. It was so well orchestrated, well choreographed. And in this one, the one take fight scene was it or is in the or is through a prison riot scene. It's fantastic. I like it. I always like it whenever Daredevil does that, and I hope they come up with uh, another equally interesting one take fight scene for season 4, because in this one, um, because he's trying to fight off the bad guys, right? And then he comes with the Albanians, and then the Albanians, order one of them to kind of help him out, dressed as a cop, and so him and this Albanian dressed as a cop, both of them have to fend off against inmates trying to get in their way all the way to the prison exit. You see them, you see the camera just follow them. Now, I don't know if that's actually shot in one take. I remember I interviewed the stunt coordinator for Atomic Blonde, the movie Atomic Blonde, because in the movie, um, there's a seemingly one take shot fight scene of Charlize Theron against the bad guys in the stairway scene as well, stairway. And so the stunt coordinator that I interviewed, he worked on the film, and he told me that's actually not shot one take. He said it was actually different, several takes, but they stitch them together so they make it seem like it's one take. So there's that movie magic for you. So maybe that's what Daredevil does too. Who knows? We won't know until we actually interview the director of the episode. But what do I think of that prison riot one take fight scene? It's fantastic. I love it. I know I use fantastic a lot. It's so cool. I really like this season. Let's go on to the next three three episodes here. Because by this time, um, we get to, at least there's one episode about the origin story of Bullseye. All right, so let's talk a bit about that. I like how they filmed it. If you've seen it, the way they shot it, it goes straight, cut to black and white for flashback scenes, and they put uh, Bullseye, Poindexter, as a kid, his childhood, right in the middle of the living room of Wilson Fisk's penthouse. So Wilson Fisk witnesses the whole thing as it happens, and oh my god, the way it's staged. I mean, like they even like put a freaking a freaking wild-sized baseball field, baseball experience in that. Try to because they're trying to bring back Poindexter's childhood and how he kills his coach, how he is pissed about his therapist being dying, and it's just oh my goodness. And I like that. It's a very very unique way. I like that flashback origin story much better than the episode, let's see, episode 10 about the flashback origin story of Karen. Now, don't get me wrong, it's good to know Karen's backstory, and there's a moment in the season where Karen is pissed at her, or not pissed. Karen's dad is pissed at her. She's crying. She wants to go home to her dad, and the dad says, "This is not a good time" on the phone. And I was like, "Whoa, that's a bit of an asshole of a dad. Like, what kind of piece of shit dad, doesn't want, because a daughter is daddy's girl basically, and he doesn't want her to come home. She's stressed out. She's crying." And so in episode 10, we get to see why that is, why their relationship is estranged and complicated. Which also brings me to understanding. Like I should not have judged Karen's dad so quickly. I should not have dismissed him so quickly just by that one phone call. Good, because obviously in episode 10 we know Karen's backstory, and we're like, oh, now we get why her dad talked that way to her on the phone. Ah, so it has to do with the brother and Karen's lifestyle back in the day when she's all messed up. But anyway, I like actually the origin story, how the origin story of Poindexter is done compared to how Karen's, because Karen's the episode about Karen, her flashback origin story is pretty basic. All right, so from an artistic, cinematic, filmmaking, visual point of view, the origin story of Poindexter is much more appealing to me. It's more like, wow, this is something I'd never seen on TV before. If they had done it before, I probably wouldn't remember, but it's just so unique to me. I liked it. The only downside about the origin story of Poindexter or Bullseye is that the flashback doesn't give us the answer to the question of how he acquired the skill. The skill of ricocheting, stuff very accurately. How he throws stuff and he would just accurately hits the target every time. Because that's the question that Wilson Fisk asks Poindexter early on when Poindexter was still a good FBI agent. He's like, I, I saw how you saved me from the Albanians. You are, I've never seen a talent like yours. I'm wondering how you acquire your skills. So, from the origin story, from that episode, it seems that he just happens to have it. It's not something that he kind of like. It's not like there's a mentor. You know how Daredevil had a mentor, that blind guy. What's his name? Stick, right? It's not like Poindexter had a stick growing up, teaching him how to throw things accurately and ricocheting things. It seems that he's always had that talent since he was a kid. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't really answer the question of how he acquires the skill. Maybe he just happens to be born that way. No pun intended to Lady Gaga's song. um, but yeah, but the way it's done, it's pretty cool. How everything just plays out in all of them in Wilson Fisk living room or penthouse apartment. So all right, so let's move on here. Nadim. By this time, Nadim finds out that his boss is also on in Wilson Fisk's pocket. He also finds out about the lengths or the wide range, um, the extent of Wilson Fisk's reach. And my God, it's so amazing how the show orchestrates, you know, how the characters are in either in Wilson Fisk's pocket or Wilson Fisk has something on them. So much so that up until like maybe episode 11 or episode 12, you as an audience, you're feeling so hopeless. Like you feel like, oh my goodness, there's no way out of this. He's got something on everybody. I was like, oh, it's like, of course, Daredevil now has to kill him. There's no other way of going out of this other than killing Kingpin. He's got it. He has to. Otherwise, and it's funny how early on, Karen, Foggy, and Matt say, as long as Wilson Fisk is out, a lot of innocent people will die, and that's true. Throughout the season, you see a bunch of like either passerbys or people who are just minding their own business. They become collateral damages. I mean, at one point, Bullseye, after he kills the priest in the church, he goes to the alley. All right, tries to take a breather because he's like stressing out. He didn't get to kill Karen Page as he's ordered to. He's like taking a breather in the alley, and then you see in a distance a couple of guys just pretty much minding their own business, trying to put stuff in their car, and freaking Bullseye just like through two bottles and just like slamming at them right in their face, killing them instantly. I was like, what? And that's just like one of the. And then of course Julie. Um, yes, Tyler says. I was gonna say get to that. Yeah, the girl that Bullseye liked, Julie. And that's also another collateral damage. It's just, by the way, that I think that is a fantastic thing on the writer's part when it comes to Bullseye character, because he's not only mentally ill, because he has this thing about North Star. He needs somebody because he does. Like I said earlier, he doesn't have Stick. You know how Stick mentors Daredevil. You know when he was younger. There's nobody like that in Bullseye's world. Especially after his therapist died. And at one point, he wants Julie to be his North Star, but Fisk has her killed, so Fisk can be Bullseye's North Star, and that's another brilliance on Wilson Fisk's part. Again, not to praise him, but just trying to point out that he is a great evil mastermind. You would not want to play chess against Wilson Fisk. He knows how to make Bullseye depend on him. He knows which buttons to push. For the characters that he wants to own, or like, okay, maybe I'll take away this element about him, so that he becomes so desperate that he will come to me, and then I'll own his ass. And that's just like boom. So just like when Daredevil reveals to Bullseye at the end that Kingpin has Julie killed, Daredevil says to Bullseye on the phone, it's like, who do you think gets her that job? Who do you think Who do you think sets in motion this one and this one to get you to that one? It's all part of the plan. I love it. I love it. Oh my God, the writing is so good in this season. Um, because the vengeance on Wilson Fisk's part comes in spades. Um, I kind of maybe don't like, if I have some criticism about the season, is that I don't like how Bullseye is not his own villain. like Bullseye answers to Wilson Fisk. I get that they want to make Wilson Fisk the puppet master, of it all. But it'd be nice if, I guess, at the end of season three, of course, they kind of tease Bullseye when they fixed his vertebrae. Maybe in season four he becomes his own villain. That he doesn't answer to, or like he's not afraid to at Wilson Fisk and nothing like that. He just stands on his own as Bullseye. Maybe we'll get to see that in season four. But that's probably my only criticism about this show's portrayal of him. I like the actor who plays Bullseye. I think he does a fantastic job. Let's see, what's his name here? Point Dexter. What's the actor's name? Can't get his. I'm looking the IMDb here. I'll find it soon enough. I think he does a fantastic job. Uh, it's like, hey Rama, how does he do compared to Colin Farrell in Daredevil movie 2003? It's a different take, different take. I know. I see you, Tyler. I see your comment that you want to see the bullseye thing. Maybe we'll get to see that on his forehead in season four, but it's a completely different take. And I like this one. This is more grounded, more drama and character driven. Nothing too fantastical. Um, and yeah, and his ricocheting, throwing accurately skills thing, man, it is superb. Okay, I gotta talk a bit about episode six, because that's where the first time we see the fight. Bullseye versus Daredevil at the newsroom, the Bolton. So the newspapers room. I'm sorry. And man, that was just so. What's the word I'm looking for? It's so exhilarating. The choreography in the because you see Bullseye like throws a baseball, and you see the camera goes to the wall and goes back, and then shows Daredevil getting hit in the face. I was like, oh my goodness. it's it's like it's Daredevil is being outsmarted by Wilson Fisk, and he's being um out. What's the word I'm looking for? Physical wise and fighting wise, he's being outplayed by Bullseye. So on both accounts, Daredevil is like, oh my goodness, I'm out of my elements here. I'm fighting two very formidable foes. One is the brain, one is the brawn, and the brawn is really giving me a run for my money. Um, and so, as I said earlier, this is the season where you don't see Daredevil in his suit. Um, my other one went casually just walked around with a pair of scissors in his chest for a while. That's right. um, and I also liked, and I'm sure you agree with me here, Tyler. I liked how, because Matt goes to basic, right? He doesn't wear his Daredevil suit. Even Melvin, who designed his suit, kind of turns on him. So throughout the season, he's just wearing his back to black basic stuff, and he's got this rope wrapped around his arms, and it reminds me of it's kind of like Muay Thai. Are you guys into Muay Thai boxing? It's a Thailand boxing in Thailand. That's how it is. You wrap the rope around your legs and your arms and your fists, and it's like so packed there. It becomes like a fitted glove sort of thing, and it packed a punch, man. Boom, 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 boom. And I think that's ultimately, I don't want to say, because that's the fight at the church. That's when it seems that Daredevil has an upper hand against Bullseye, because Bullseye's wearing the Daredevil suit. He's a imposter. That's when you get to see, like, oh my goodness, it seems that Daredevil has figured out a way to, even though he can't really ricocheting things like Bullseye, but um, he can outsmart some of those ricochets. He can maybe think very very fast to anticipate some of those ricochets. That's the word I'm looking for. Anticipate, and I think that's pretty cool on Matt's part at the church in the church fight scene. What else am I missing here on my notes? Nadim, back to Nadim again. Oh my goodness, you know the thing is with Foggy. Okay, I love Foggy. Don't get me wrong. Oh my goodness, and I I love the fact that Foggy got laid in the season, man. Holy crap, he got laid. And his girlfriend is so freaking hot. What's her name? Is it Cassie or well anyway, she's also a lawyer and we've seen her in previous season and she's so supportive of Foggy in this one and she's just so hot and Foggy is just one of those good guys. He believes in the system. He believes in the law. He's an idealist, man, and it's such an idealist that it gets annoying at times because, as I said earlier, everything is said or written in a way that makes you feel like you're like so hopeless. Like my God, everybody is in Wilson Fisk's pocket. There's no beating him through the system. There's no way. There's no way. He owns the system. But Foggy's like, no, we gotta do it by the system. And it's like, even I don't see a way out until the whole thing with the video by Nadim. And man, as I said earlier, Nadim is a very, very complex guy. There are times when I'm rooting for him. There are times when I'm hating his guts, because he makes all the wrong choices. But I can put myself in his shoes. I'm not a dad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a dad, so I can't relate in that part. But when he said that I want to make my son proud, like I don't want my son to see me as just some kind of a low level federal employee. I get that. I get that. We all get that. Like I want to make my dad proud because my dad. So, I was like, I have this business degree, and I was like, I can't just like be sitting behind a desk 9 to 5. I gotta prove to my dad that I'm a businessman. That's what the business degree I have. We all have this thing where we want to make somebody else proud, whether it be our son, or our parents, our siblings, our wife. So Nadim's ambition comes from that. That's where his ambition comes from. He's like, that's why and of course, don't get wrong. Let's not forget. Again, as I said earlier, Wilson Fisk puts him in a desperation mode because of the his sister's insurance company that doesn't want to pay for his sister's cancer. So that also plays a factor. In addition to Nadim's ambition that stems from wanting to show his son that he could be just he could be this big shot, and that comes at a cost ultimately, unfortunately. But he did right by everybody at the end. So Nadim's long story arc in this season is a heartbreaking one. It's a complex one. It's a very nuanced one. There's no black and white about it, and I like that. That's a fully formed, multi-dimensional character right there, and it's pretty solid in my book. Um, and okay, so let's go to the final episode, A New Napkin. So by this time, Daredevil says, "Hey, Foggy, we did it your way. It didn't work. I'm gonna have to kill Kingpin." And you know what? By this point, I too feel the same way. I was like, dude, the system is bought off. There's no way of beating Wilson Fisk other than killing him. So I'm actually on the camp of Daredevil. I kid you not. I know it makes me sound like a bad guy, but by this point, it's like it's Daredevil's way or no way, right? Daredevil's hellbent, and uh, to a certain extent, I thought he was turning into Kingpin because Daredevil is manipulating at the end. He manipulates Bullseye, using Julie's death, manipulates Bullseye to to be driven by vengeance to kill Kingpin, and that's a Kingpin's move. Okay, what Daredevil does there, that's a really Kingpin move. That's sort of like him turning into Kingpin, but he doesn't cross that line. And the fight scene at the end. Oh my God! In that hotel room between Bullseye and Wilson Fisk and Daredevil, it's like triple threat, man. It's fantastic. It's so hardcore. things flying off the handles, because Bullseye has to throw shit, across the room, and of course, Daredevil with his punches, and Kingpin, of course, as you know, finally, because we have like 12 seasons of him not getting his hands dirty. He basically orders other people to do the killing. Episode 13, boom, wrestling, the wrestler Kingpin. He he's known for his strength, and he unleashes his strength. Man, I'm so the fight scene between those three characters is so satisfying. Yeah, so satisfying. If you're a fan of the show, if you're a fan of action, if you're a fan of fight scenes in movies, at the end of that, you'd be like, "Oh my god, I just saw something pretty epic here." Um, and so Daredevil doesn't cross that line. Uh, do I like the idea of Kingpin going back to prison? Because it seems like Hirama. It seems so redundant. It seems like a recycled thing, Because Kingpin might do the same thing again, and he might buy off the prison guards and the inmates again. So we have the same cycle. It's like there's nothing unique about it. It's the same thing all over again. Yeah, you may have a point here, but remember, he has his girl, and love can make you do strange things, man. I've done strange things for girls. Okay, and it seems that Wilson Fisk falls hard for Vanessa, and in this season we also see Vanessa fully embracing Wilson Fisk's evil side and becomes just like him, and I think it's gonna be different because of her. I think it's gonna be different because of her going forward, because Wilson Fisk doesn't really want any scratch on her. He really loves her. For a guy so evil and so villainous, so heartless and merciless, to actually care for a woman like that's quite something. That's something to be admired at the very least. Um, I'm glad to see actress Ayla Zurer, who came back to play Vanessa, one of the most beautiful actresses in the world. Big fan of hers in Munich and also in Man of Steel. She plays Superman's biological mother. She's fantastic. Good to see her back. Okay, I've broken down the episodes here. Let's do conclusion. Overall thought again. Conclusion. Um, I enjoyed it way better than season one and season two. Um, Again, I like how the vengeance come in spades. Tenfolds, to the point where Wilson Fisk owns the federal agent, FBI agents. He has them. He has them. I was like, wow. And we're not talking about city cops, all right, or local sheriffs, but federal agents. He has them, and that is that is one of the most epic thing that a villain can do in a comic book series adaptation. Um, and so in the end, I feel like I want to see more of Bullseye, and I'm glad they're teasing that up for us. Hopefully in season four. Hopefully the show doesn't get canceled, just like Luke Cage and Iron Fist. I want it to get renewed for season four. So hope keep your fingers crossed. What else? In conclusion, this is the best Daredevil season yet. Uh, Epic fight scenes. Um, you a hero is only as good as his villain, and the villain does not get better than Wilson Fisk and Bullseye. So kudos to the writers and the filmmakers. I think it's another victorious season. Victorious. Well done season. There you go. Much better than victorious. Well done season. Well made season on Marvel Television and Netflix part on the Daredevil season 3. So that's it. That's my review. My very, very long review of live stream review of Daredevil season 3. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And again, as always, support Rama Screen channel on Patreon. So go to patreon.com/Rama Screen That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Sign up there today and become my patrons. Thanks for tuning in. Let's rock this.